Hey sightseers, Sightseeing Sally here, and Marty and Jack are in the truck. I'm walking around the town of Gold Point, checking out this old historic Nevada ghost town. Now, while some of the buildings appear to be authentic, others appear to have been either refurbished, rehabbed, or rebuilt. And it really just takes a trained eye to be able to tell the difference. I kind of suspect that these buildings here have been rehabbed. But next to them are some old relics. This is an old mining car that's sitting here and an old gas pump. This looks like it might actually be the real deal and not a reconstruction, and it's fenced off so you can't access it, so I'd be willing to bet that that is an original to the town of Gold Point. And then right next door, the person next door has collected a bunch of the old glass that was probably disposed of around the town site. Well, look at this setup. I can't believe it's still intact. Looks like over here you've got what would have been like water tanks of some sort. And then there's this building here, which I have no idea what that was used for. And then this thing here, which looks like it comes stuff coming up out of the ground. And then a wooden building here. Talk about a large-scale mining operation. I mean, this is huge. It must have been some other kind of tank. Whatever it was came down through there. Probably some kind of processing thing here, if I had to guess. And if I remember right, they were mining both gold and silver out here. So who knows if this was part of the gold processing or the silver processing. Listen. You hear the old sheet metal rapping against itself in the wind. I want to give a shout out to one of my viewers for tipping me off to stopping here. He had actually mentioned that he had mentioned it on another YouTuber's channel, asking them to stop out, and apparently they didn't. And well, I thought it'd be fun to check it out, and I'm glad we did. I mean, this is just amazing out here. A lot of history here. A lot of ghosts from the past, so to speak. Maybe not actual ghosts themselves, but relics from the past just sitting here. Chunk of something. Feels like ceramic. All these relics have a story to tell, but there's nobody left to tell it, and the objects can't tell it themselves, so it's just kind of interesting. You kind of just have to take a guess as to what it is. Much as I'd like to hang out here and keep staring at this stuff and trying to piece together a story as to what it is, what happened here, I think it's time we move on. We were supposed to head to Goldfield yet today. Not sure if we'll have enough time, but onward we go. You can see the old telephone electric pole right there. There's literally nobody else here. Other than the music playing in the background, it is totally quiet. I kind of feel like I landed up in an episode of The Twilight Zone. It's really kind of strange. I almost half expect somebody to be sitting there, smoking their cigarette, drinking their beer at the old saloon here. Oh, look at that old skull. Barber chair. Oh, all kinds of stuff here. There's even a stuffed deer head, which is something I'd expect to see up in the Northwoods of Wisconsin, but not out here. Oh look, there's even an old cash register. It's like, where did all the people go? Even Jack and Marty disappeared. And they came with me. I have no idea where they went. Oh, look at this old chair. I love the colors. Even though it's all sun faded and dirty from being out in the desert. I'm assuming this must be where you get your drinks on, because I see Blue Moon beer in the cooler. There's even an IPA here. Rolling Rock? Yeah, so there must be people around somewhere. I mean, why else would you have Blue Moon and Rolling Rock out in the middle of nowhere if there weren't people? Unless the ghosts of Gold Point happen to know what kind of beer I like to drink. Spooky, huh? So look at this. There's an old 7-Up clock there on the side of the building. An old Proctor Silex toaster, 4-slice toaster. A Wedgwood, which I believe must have been some type of old stove with an oven. Pickaxe, shovel. Ah, that's familiar. We've got signs like these up in Wisconsin. Oh, Marty is alive. Alive and kicking. I thought I lost you.
It's easy to get lost in this junkyard.
Well, it was kind of like the Twilight Zone where there was nobody around. Marty, you got 10 cents? You can get some peanuts here. Although they look like they've been sitting in there a while, so I don't think they would be too tasty.
Don't eat the peanuts.
Well, it looks like the price of admission is $1, but I don't know where I'm supposed to pay, and doesn't appear to be anybody around. Hello? Anybody in here? Anybody here? Anybody? Anybody around? Yeah. It's like totally deserted.
I remember back in, was it chloride, where I had that great big spring that I thought it might be for like dumping excess current or voltage on something.
Yeah.
It's actually the lining to a hose.
Is it?
Yeah, right here's a hose.
Oh, look at that.
It must give it rigidity, is what it did.
Oh, neat.
But I did see coils like that in the past used for dumping power, but matter of fact, it's from an old hose. Now we know.
Mystery solved, right?
Yep.
Cool. Looking out here, I'm not exactly sure which buildings are original to the town of Gold Point. For all I know, somebody could have taken old wood, for example, and built that outhouse, or the one right here. It's interesting to walk around and see all the old artifacts that have been collected here. Well, I haven't seen one of these in a while. That's an old cast iron porcelain coated sink. I remember one of the apartments I rented years ago had a sink just like this. Thought it was the neatest thing. In addition to the old buildings, you have these old vehicles that have been parked here. This one's from California, and it was used for drilling and exploration. And then you got this old tanker truck here, and then this interesting contraption. I'm guessing it was some kind of boom truck from the looks of it. Here's something that's really old, part of an old wagon. You can see the metal that was put around the wood to make the wheels. So as I was walking around Gold Point, I stumbled upon this, which talks about the history of Gold Point. It actually started out as a place called Lime Point and was first settled about 1880. Then it was abandoned about 1882. And then later it came into a silver strike and became known as Horn Silver. And then a series of booms and busts. Eventually it became Gold Point, which is where the post office that you see up there. And then 2 local residents served in the state senate, I believe. And then later, after the town had officially closed, another individual took it upon himself to re-stabilize the town. And apparently several people still live here, as you can see by all the mailboxes that are here. Oh look, the town even has an old gallows simulated up there. And an old cast iron bathtub. Oh, I'd love to have one of these. It even still has the feet with a daisy on it. I've seen where people have taken these old cast iron tubs and made them into their own like personal outdoor water spa in their backyards. That's what I would love to do with one of these. And then for washing your clothes, you've got this old by hand washing machine. Can you imagine having to wash your clothes by hand? The women from back in the day, they worked their butts off having to wash clothes by hand, chop wood, milk the cows, take care of the kids, make their own soap, can the food. I mean, the women that worked on the family homesteads, they weren't lazy, that's for sure. So the reason we decided to stop here in Gold Point is because it's supposed to be one of the better preserved old mining towns here in Nevada, which from the looks of it, they are right. What we're looking at here is the contraption that they used to bring the ore up out of the ground.
It obviously came out of the ground over there on them tracks, went up and it got dumped into here, and this must have been sluices, one on each side, 2 sluices going through, looking, sluicing out the gold, because I don't see any footings around here for like a stamp mill to bust it down any smaller, so that's what I assume. I'm not a gold prospector, so.
If you're a gold prospector and you know, let us know in the comment section below how this contraption works. If you look on the ground, you're going to see a lot of what we've been seeing at other gold mining sites. The broken up pieces of rock that have been left behind. If I had to guess, people are probably still mining here today. There's probably still active claims. So we climbed up this hill where this old building is and discovered what looks like the remains of an old stamping operation here. I had to catch my breath. The higher altitude I'm not used to, and then climbing up a hill is kind of like but from up here you can see Gold Point, how it is at least today. I imagine though back in the day it was pretty spread out. At least that's what we've been finding as we've been touring other ghost towns out here. Well, let's go take a look inside this old building and see if there's anything in there. Well, nothing in here but some old wood and corrugated tin or metal and some rocks and an old Angry Orchard bottle, probably from one of the locals hanging out up here, getting all saucy. Just down from where we were, there was this old homestead sitting out here, abandoned in the desert, so we thought we'd stop and check it out. Look at it, sitting there, the wind just blowing right through it. Now this is what I think of when I think of old mining towns, something like this. let's go take a look inside and see what's in here. You've got the remains of an old frame for a bed or a couch of some sort. Old coffee can, newspaper. Let's see. Canvas or whatever hanging from the rafters. Oh, that looks like an old heater sitting there. Little can on the ground. That would have been your little shelf. That would have been where the heater would have exhausted out of your roof. And there's the old door, back door, front door. I don't know, I guess it depends on which way your point of view is. Oh wow, that newspaper is from 1917. Isn't that amazing? That newspaper has been sitting here for over 100 years old. That is just freaking amazing that it's still here. It has been torn off, burned up, blown away, but still in this cupboard, this little cubby, in this abandoned cabin in the desert. Wow, it just blows my mind. Like, this is so awesome. That's a piece of history sitting there. And on the ground, this is the handle for something, probably old faucet. And then some broken glass of something. Probably an... Oh, never mind, that ain't old. I guess the locals were hanging out in here getting all saucy too. Oh, there's the old mattress. What's left of it. I guess they weren't sleeping on the ground after all. Special thanks goes out to all our fellow sightseers here on Patreon and PayPal. Without you, these videos wouldn't be possible.